Hello and welcome to VR. This video is about the questions that I had before buying myself a VR headset. This is in fact an Oculus Rift. I got it in the summer sale. I also wanted to do room scale VR. Now that was one of the first questions. Can the Rift do room scale VR, or am I going to have to spend more money and get a Vive? The answer is, if you get 3 cameras, and I think there's one there, and one over there, or there's one there, and one over there. I'm not entirely sure where I am at the moment. Yeah, basically it can. You get 3 cameras and then you get the touch controllers, which are part of the current bundle. Yeah, done. Onion rings. You get room scale VR, so that's not a problem. That was one of my main concerns about the difference between the Vive and the Oculus. So the other question was, what is it like to wear? Well, if you've ever used any of those safety goggles, imagine a pair of safety goggles on your head, and the inside is painted. Well, the sides are painted black. Yep, that's it. Screen door effect. What about the screen door effect? Well, good. Glad you asked. Yes, there's a noticeable pixelation. Well, not pixelation. There is a noticeable amount of sort of. How do I describe it? It's kind of like looking at a CRT, a monitor, just a little too close. That's it. Is it a deal breaker? No, not at all, not at all. What about tracking? Tracking's real good. Don't worry about that. Yeah, head tracking, as you can probably see as I'm talking, everything's kind of wobbling around. Now, my eyes are compensating for that, so I'm not really seeing anything out of the ordinary, but you guys are going to see a certain amount of wobble, a certain amount of messing around. Even though I'm trying to keep my head as still as possible for the recording, yeah, there's nothing I can really do about that. But yeah, using it is fine. Having it on your head is fine. It's a lovely bit of kit. Is it heavy? Not really. Weighs about the same as a tin of beans. Is it uncomfortable? Not really. It will mess your hair up. That is one thing. One thing. If you wear a lot of hair products or like clips and stuff in your hair, you're going to get messed up hair. It's the cost of doing VR. The other thing, is it like wearing a motorcycle helmet? Not really. It's like wearing safety goggles with a nice felt liner around the inside. Any other questions? Right. Was my hardware going to be good enough for the task? Because DPD should have turned up today and given me a new graphics card. But they tried to deliver to a house that I've never seen. And they provided a really blurry ass photograph of the floor to say, oh, we tried to deliver to your house, here it is. And I'm like, no, that's a picture taken in winter because the shadow of the tree has no leaves on it. And the trees around here all have leaves on them, or are not deciduous trees. And the ground, it looks like you're in London. What are you doing trying to deliver my card to London? So this system is a Ryzen 7 1700, which is kind of a bit cheaty when it comes to talking about hardware, 16 gigs of RAM, and an NVIDIA GTX 960, which is, as you recognize from the Oculus Store, probably about minimum spec. In fact, I think it's lower than what is required to run all of this. And it's fine. But it is the 4GB version, which has a faster fill rate than the standard 2GB version, so it's more like a 970. So if you have a 970 and you're worried about what this might look like, if you just get it out of the thing and think, well, I can't afford to upgrade my graphics card, maybe I'll just get the headset and upgrade later, fine. What about things like peripheral vision? What about field of view? Like I said, like wearing safety goggles. Okay, fine. What if I want to wait to CV2 or Vive 2? If you want to wait till 2019 or 2018 or whatever, you do you. But I would recommend just going with whatever's there, one or the other, certainly. Yes, definitely. So any other questions? Well, what about USB ports? Glad you asked. Yeah, so it recommends USB 3 for your cameras and your headset, and that means I would need 4 USB ports, one for the headset, one for each of the cameras, and a HDMI connector for the headset. Now I use DVI-D for my monitor because I do photography and DVI-D is better for gamma. The gamma levels on DVI-D are much better. So if you're concerned about color and stuff on a monitor, you'd always use DVI, not HDMI. Got it? Get it? Good. Brilliant. So there was a free HDMI connector or port on the back of the PC. Fine, brilliant. The USB connectors, the cameras seemingly can use USB 2, whereas the headset really does require USB 3. So your mileage may vary. It did say on the setup, plug into USB 3, and then I plugged one of the cameras, probably that one, into a USB 2 connection by mistake, and it was like, oh, right, fine, you're using USB 2. You're a camera. It doesn't matter. It's essentially just a webcam. Fine, whatever. So what about the length of the cable? Because there is a cable, and it is running down my back. It's kind of down here. Well, bearing in mind that I'm in a British living room, I would definitely recommend getting a cable extension for the headset, because this thing it does pull tight. If I walk over here, and now the cable is kind of here, it's kind of there, it's in front of me. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I mean, I can walk forward. How close can I get? So I think somewhere here, if I use my arm, yeah, there's my microphone stand, and it's folded back at the moment, so my desk is somewhere there. British living room again, so definitely be aware of that. Apart from that, no real issues. I mean, there was a black screen issue when I turned it on to record, and I sorted that by unplugging the USB connection for the headset, counting to 10, plugging it back in, and restarting the Oculus software, so that was fine. Audio, oh my word, yes. Okay, so if you're recording this for YouTube, that's one of the questions you might have. How do I record it? Well, there's a spectator window on the desktop. You can use Shadowplay or Fraps or whatever to record it, no problem. One of the big problems you will have is make sure the mouse pointer is not in the middle of the screen, which is what I did last. I've tried to record this so many times. I've just been sort of checking off little things. It's a new thing for me. Make sure the mouse pointer is not on the screen, especially if you are recording using desktop capture. Definitely a thing you should be aware of. Get the cursor out of the image. The other thing is, if anything pops up on the screen, get that pop-up out of the image. I don't know, which is why occasionally you see like JavaScript is ready to update or whatever. No. Anything else? Yeah, the audio. So the audio, if you click on the speaker, you'll have two devices. You'll have the Rift headphones, and you'll have your standard high definition output, or whatever you use for output. In order to record audio in the spectator window, the Rift needs to be the one selected. Even though you'll still be able to hear the game using your standard output, you do need to make sure the Rift is selected. And then when you go back to your PC, you will need to make sure your high definition output or your standard speaker output is selected if you want to listen to things like YouTube and stuff. So you will need to change that. That's the only thing, that's the only kind of snag. Other things, well, are there enough games for this? Am I going to be playing this? Am I going to be playing this for more than a week? Yeah, I think you will. There's plenty of games. It seems fairly mature now. There's a lot of really terrible games. Things like the games where you stand still and just shoot all the same enemy. Yeah, those games can just do one. I really don't like those games. But there's plenty of games like Job Simulator and Super Hot VR and Rick and Morty, which I would be playing, except the graphics card that I should have has been delivered, or hasn't been delivered, to a house somewhere else, because DPD are terrible, terrible, terrible people. Oh well. Yeah, so there are plenty of games. There are plenty of games, and they are out there, and you can get them. I would definitely watch videos on YouTube to see which ones are good and which ones are bad. There's a lot of things on Steam that aren't brilliant, but you can play Steam games as long as they've got Vive support. Yeah, definitely Vive support if you've got Vive. No, if they've got Oculus support, you can definitely play them. What you need to do is you need to go in the Oculus software, you need to enable third-party apps in the Oculus software, and then you can install Steam VR. Steam VR will allow you to draw a boundary around your play area, which you will need to do. So if I walk over here and stick my arms out, boop, what you can't see is there is a grid here. In fact, there's a camera there, so that's why the hand keeps disappearing. But there is a grid here, and that is the Guardian system, which you basically have your holodeck grid, and when you get too close to the walls, then it pops up. You'll need to do that in the Oculus software, in the Guardian settings. So click on settings, I think general, and then in the top right there's like a set up your Guardian settings, and then you'll need to do it again in Steam VR. Okay, so you'll need to do it in Steam VR to set that up, and then you can play things like The Lab, which is definitely worth a shot, worth a go, worth a play, worth a punt. There, this guy gets it. Brilliant. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? I've covered the headset, what it's like to wear. Heat is warm. It's not hot, but it is warm. It's kind of like wearing an eye mask, like a sleeping mask, but except, I've really got to do something with those cameras. It's like wearing a sleeping mask, except you actually you can see through it. There we go, done. Or like wearing a pair of safety goggles. Yeah, that's totally what it is. Anything else? Anything else that I've forgotten that I had questions about when I was doing this? No, we can do Steam games, we can do Oculus games. The headset works, it's fine, it's lovely to look around in. It's certainly got a wow factor. All your friends who've forgotten about you will suddenly turn up at your doorstep. That's a thing. Family that's kind of disappeared for years and years and years, again, doorstep. So hello to the family. You will look like a complete tool walking around your living room. Especially with the window wide open, so that maybe delivery drivers and people can actually see you, especially if you have your front door open as well. Yeah, well, I should probably drop that.
A true grease monkey. Get under the hood and get your hands dirty in our simulated mechanics shop.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so what is it like to live with? Well, let's just drop these on the floor. What is it like to live with? It's like being a child and having a Sega Mega Drive or Sega Genesis all over again. It's that kind of, it's the first thing in a while that's made me want to play video games. It's got to be said, it's, you know, it's just wonderful. It really is good fun. And what if you have, the other question is, what if you only have vision out of one eye, or if you don't have binocular vision? Some people without binocular vision have said they've seen all of this in 3D and it looks wonderful. If you only have one eye or you know, genuinely have problems with vision, as long as you've got one good eye, I think, yeah, you should be okay. There is someone in the family who does have only one eye, and I think they would get a blast out of this. It's not, I mean, it doesn't penalise you for that. And relax, and hopefully this recording will go fine. The spoken audio will have recorded on the chocolate bar recorder, so the battery won't have run out, and the desktop will have recorded without cursor in the way, and we'll have audio this time. The things I do for YouTube. So if you have any comments or questions or anything about VR, I'll try and answer them, so I'll post them below. Yeah, otherwise drop a like, drop a subscribe, and you know, I'll probably do some VR recording for games in the future. In the meantime, I really do need to record a bit of Stranded Deep, because I've been neglecting that for a few days. I tell you what, I'm gonna go and have a drink of water.